Sagittarius, welcome to a weekly tarot reading from August 3rd, which is the time of a new moon happening in Aquarius until August 9th. It's Raina here, and I'm kind of contriving this reading, I guess, in a certain sense, because I just got a new tarot deck and I want to play with it. And I've already done a couple of readings because of my my precarious tripod here. I'm going to try to I'll let you see it sideways. How about that? Yeah, I am going to get this taken care of with my tripod. But in any case, it's called the Lightseers Tarot, and I just kind of was browsing on Amazon, and I really liked the sample artwork, and so I thought I would try it out, and I'm happy that I got it. That doesn't always happen, you know. Sometimes I don't like the deck. I don't feel it, you know. I really like the whole feel of it, you know. But the other thing I wanted to call to your attention is that a couple of people in my last set of videos mentioned that there were a lot of ads, and that was not my intention whatsoever. So there have been some changes with YouTube regarding this, and probably a bit of confusion on my part about allowing them to add the mid-rolls, which are the ones in the middle. Typically, if a video is under 20 minutes, I will not add a video in the middle of it because it's, you know, on the short side. So what I am asking of you is, if I'm intending this video is under 20 minutes, so that you should only see an ad at the beginning and at the end, if you stay that far. But I mean, this is for people who watch the whole video. If you do, please let me know if you see any ads in the middle, because I tried to get rid of that on my end of things with my settings, and I'm hoping that that went through, because I do not want that kind of disruption. So thank you to the person, or there were actually a couple people who brought that to my attention. So anyway, so let me show you the back of the cards in case you're interested. Okay, so here we go. Oh, and I'm using a new reading. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm using a spread by Emerald Lotus Divination. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the cards, because I know how the spread is, and I'm going to run over and get my trusty iPad, and I have it on there. By the way, tablets are a great way of like referring to information, like if you have a recipe or what I'm doing right here. So just a little tip. Okay, now let me go. Luckily, YouTube has resumed their editing feature. Okay, so this is by Emerald Lotus Divination, the week ahead spread, and the first position is my week as a whole, and it's the Three of Swords. And it's interesting, you know, I'd like to very briefly get the booklet out for this, because I happened to see the Three of Swords specifically about this, and I really liked how this person, I don't know if she must be the author and the creator of these things. Her name is Chris Ann, and I really liked how she like interpreted the Three of Swords. It was in a much more proactive way. I'm just looking at it right now. This is some of the how she puts it in the upright position. Painful separation, loss, heartbreak, an opportunity to heal. So that's a good thing. You know, it doesn't mean that you're going to have heartbreak. You might have an opportunity to heal. Shadows coming to light. Finding inspiration again. Okay, so that's very good. And, you know, she mentions this too shall pass. And one thing I like that she says, this severing, although painful, is a necessary part of the process. Despite all proof to the contrary, your brightly lit future will arrive because of this experience. Tie yourself to your light and prepare to spend some time nurturing your tender spirit. And the thing is, and I really like that because I tend to just look at heartbreak, and this can be a card also of a lover's triangle or something like that. But looking at the full moon, which can bring the shadows to light, we're having it at 11 degrees of Aquarius. For people born within the last week of November, the November Sagittarius, this will probably be more like your second house of earned income rather than the third house. And for those people, this can bring a possible increase in money, as this affects the house of earned income, and the full moon can bring like a harvest and can bring something in a big way. But you can also look at it in coming to terms with your self-esteem, like having these issues come up in some way. And sometimes the catalyst may be something that is a little bit tender for you. For those in the third house, this is in the mind area, your thoughts, and this can, your communication, like swords are about communication. So do you create the very thing that you don't want in a lot of ways? I was thinking about this myself. They say Sagittarius put their foot in their mouth, and I have experienced this thing of saying something to somebody and having them kind of like turn off to me, recoil. I had this happen yesterday, and it bothers me because that's the last thing I want. And it's really weird because sometimes that's their issue, and you're not doing anything, you're not trying to be rude, or you're not doing anything, but they're perceiving it that way. But sometimes maybe there is a case where you're not saying things in a way that the other person can receive. Maybe you're being aggressive in speech, and that comes up in a way that makes you see how it impacts you and your heart. So just kind of like looking at it from that perspective. The second position is something unexpected that will arise. This is the Three of Wands. This is a card of expansion, of, so growth. It can be for some of you who have, been unhappy perhaps in your current work. It could be this idea that you have for a product. This is an entrepreneurial card, so anything with your own business. But even just a feeling that comes in where you realize that you are looking for more from life. So it's interesting that they use a surfboard in this, because in other, the Rider-Waite and the decks that are kind of very faithful to that, they talk about, they show mountains because it's that expansive quality. So it may come out of nowhere where all of a sudden you're like, I want my freedom. And before you're kind of happy to go along with the program. And this could be personal relationships, obviously, too. And perhaps that Three of Swords, if this is something that makes sense to you, then for sure that would go along with that. One thing I want to say, though, about the Three of Swords is that if you have like an on-again, off-again relationship with somebody, it doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It could be a parent or a sibling or anybody, a friend, that there's certain things that you like about that person, but the relationship overall is toxic. You may realize, I just have to break free from this totally. It's like a clean break, and it's very hard, I think, for Sagittarius to do that, because we want to be generous in seeing that person in a good light, not, I want to get away from this person or anything like that. And it can be kind of like a bit hard to swallow, feeling a sense of sadness that you're doing something like that. How can you stay balanced and grounded this week? 8 of Cups. Well, anything with cups is going to be having to do with the spiritual, the intuitive, the creative. And I noticed that she's walking away from this bowl, this burning bowl. This is actually a card of, oh, and I want to say one more thing about this card. I also noticed that she has a sun in the background that she's walking towards. And it's very interesting because in the Rider-Waite deck, they show the moon. And this is a card of leaving what no longer serves you behind, no longer feeds your soul. I'm kind of surprised that they use fire as that, because I see fire as enthusiasm, as passion, you know. Sag is a fire sign. And she's walking towards the sun, which is another fiery, you know, type of image. So perhaps the fire with the water, combined with the water, was too much drama, you know. And maybe she's, you know, the Six of Swords is another card that speaks of, like, you know, going towards peace. This is more like going towards enlightenment, though, as far as I'm concerned, where whatever it is that you're involved with doesn't have the spiritual connection to you anymore, and you're seeking more out of life. So to me, in a way, that goes along with the Three of Wands. The 4th position is, and so basically what I want to say about that card is that how you stay grounded is by either doing things that put you in a place that is more spiritually meaningful. If you feel like there's an emptiness there. And so, for instance, if you're in a very draining romantic relationship and that other person is kind of like an energy vampire and you feel like you're an empty shell, filling yourself with, feeding your soul with encouraging videos, audios, what do they call those? Well, you could even say like visualization practices, but affirmations, I was trying to say. I think especially maybe like even doing artwork, anything that's related to the cups, which is very intuitive, is the way that you ground yourself. The 4th position is important emotion I will feel this week. I hope it's good. Well, I don't know if this is an emotion. Let's see, 2 of Swords, an emotion. Does that look good? It's kind of funny that they are characterizing this card this way, because I don't see the 2 of Swords as really that, you know, bad or anything. And it, you know, that doesn't mean it's bad. It's like she's being pulled in different directions. And that's really what the 2 of Swords is about, is that sense of indecision. And you may feel like you're at this crossroads, and especially with the 3 of Wands, because there's that sense of, you know, feeling a pull towards freedom and autonomy. So how I see this is that maybe you feel like now is the time that you have to make a decision. And this will only be for certain people, since this is a general reading, but for those people that this is true for, it can be a good thing, you know, because a lot of times part of the indecision is wondering if it really is a big deal. And then when you get to that point where it's like, I have to make a choice, it feels a lot better, because you know that you're going to take action. You know you're not just going to be spinning your wheels. So, yeah, so it can be something of being able to, I think also get beyond binary thinking, black or white thinking, this or that, and maybe see a situation in a more holistic way, whatever this is. And if you have to choose between whether or not to stay with somebody, that isn't necessarily that big of a deal, because you can always make another choice. I think sometimes we have this thing of like, okay, this is the choice, and then that's it. It's engraved in stone. And that's a little bit silly in most cases. Some cases it might be pretty much do or die, something will disappear, but for a lot of things it might not be that severe. Something that will inspire me. And so here we have another two. So definitely maybe choice, inspire. Could you think of something? Oh, what are those? I thought that was a paintbrush. It's actually supposed to be wands. And you see that, oh, you know what I love about this? You see how they have a surfboard leaning against a VW bus. And then they have the globe. I wonder how many Sagittarians have always loved seeing VW vans. I know I have. So maybe this is van life time for somebody. Choosing whether or not to like just completely do your own thing. Now they do have wands or rods, sometimes they're called, depicted here, but they also have that surfboard, as they do with the Three of Wands. They have that surfboard. And I think the surfboard, I don't know, I'd like to see if she, in her booklet, she actually talks about the symbolism. But to me, it means the flow, the freedom that comes with the flow, versus like being uphill, upstream. When you're doing something that feels really like fun and exciting and kind of like maybe a little bit dangerous, or you could fall off, but it still gives that excitement that the wands represent. So I'm curious to know if that is really what it's about. By the way, I've already gone over 20 minutes, so that point is moot about whether there will be a mid-roll ad. But anyway, with the Two of Wands, this is about possibly even relocating. So with the Eight of Cups, the Eight of Cups is more like an internalized thing as far as I interpret it, like more about your own path. And to me, the Two of Wands is like the outer path, and the Three of Wands too. Because we're talking about water versus fire. Fire is masculine, so that's going to be outer and innie. So deciding between two career paths, deciding whether to stay where you are or to move. These are kind of maybe something that will come to you, and with that comes the emotions. And so pay attention to what sparks more fire within you. The idea of moving or the idea of staying put. I have a feeling for most Sagittarius it'll be moving. 5. Something that will inspire me. Oh, couldn't have picked a better card. Oh, well, there you go. Ace of Wands. Interesting that they have kind of that third eye happening. And they have a fire there. So the Ace of Wands is about initiating new projects with a very passionate kind of a feeling behind it. Of course, we're in Leo season. So, oh, you know what? Hello. Leo is the 5th house for Sagittarius. I mean, no, I'm sorry. That's not true. The 9th house. But even that works because of the Three of Wands. That can be travel, too. I didn't say that. But anyway, Leo in general, just that trine from the sun, or if you're watching this for your rising sign of Sag, this can just spark you into new endeavors that have an expansive feel to them. And it's interesting that they have this almost like a meditation, because I would say too with the Eight of Cups, if you are traveling, it might be for some kind of, career training that has a spiritual connotation, like yoga teacher training. If they are resuming long distance travel at this time of this recording, then that might be, or, it doesn't have to be in this week. It could be that you're getting everything prepared. But whatever this is, it just sparks within you this sense of possibilities, enthusiasm, independence. And the last card is how my spirit guides speak to me this week. What do we have here? Queen of Pentacles. Ooh, I like that. See, now talk about an Earth Mother. She's even got antlers. I think her eyeshadow was green. I like this card a lot. I really do. It really gives off an earthy vibe. I was going to say a Taurian vibe. I don't know if it is associated with it. I even associate Virgo with green. But anyway, this is a card of you could say the Earth Mother, but really tuning into everything that you have domain over in your personal life. If you garden, all these things, grounding, maybe some kind of community garden, planting seeds. Let me see. I'm just curious what she says in the book, because I really liked what I read to you the first time, and I'm trying to get new ideas here. I've read so many books on the tarot that, it almost gets to the point where you're like, oh, they can't teach me anything. And that's not true whatsoever. I have to say, out of all the accompanying tarot books, this one is, I kind of think it's the best. I mean, sometimes they're just garden variety. So let me read what they say some of the keywords are. A healer, okay, going with that Eight of Cups, that works. A working parent. So they're not saying, the queen relates to the mother, but, in this day and age, obviously there are stay-at-home fathers, but I'd say like stay-at-home fathers. But they say a working parent, okay, they want to say working, but I would say, especially if you're staying at home or working from home, a self-made person, material wealth and abundance, I dig that. Strength in family and community, a kind and nurturing heart, groundedness, being down to earth, generosity. I'm not going to read, the elaboration on this, but I'll just see if there's anything. Your nurturing and down-to-earth approach will give stability and support to those in your life. Connect with nature to find your calm, healing, and rooted power. And harness the abundance that's available to you by bringing groundedness to your situation. Okay. Now that I can vibe with this reading, groundedness. So for talking about spirit guides, going into nature and communing with it. Even if you live in the city, in the suburbs, there's got to be parks or something like that. When I go to my favorite park, I have a tree, and I'm always like, I want to be able to sit under my tree. And if somebody's under my tree, I'm like not amused, but I usually get to sit under my tree. So do whatever that means for you, Sag, and I hope you have a great week. If you would like a personal reading, the link is below. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.